Hello viewers, and then welcome once again to the WAIMM personality series, where we profile people we believe are making changes in the industry, and we want the up and coming professionals to learn from them as well. Today we are privileged to have Mr. Beau Nicholls. He's the CEO of Sahara Mining Services. He's going to tell us all about himself and then what he's been up to until now. Thank you very much for having us, Beau.
Thanks for the invite.
Beau Nicholls, the name is all over the place, but very few people know the character behind the name. Yeah. Who is the man Beau Nicholls?
Well, I'm a geologist. I'm Australian, and I've been working. I've worked in Australia. I grew up in Australia, and then I moved to. I worked around the world over the last few years. I worked with RSG Global. I worked in open pits, underground mines. I worked in 38 countries, and I've worked in West Africa before, and I've come back to West Africa from South America this year.
Well, how did you get in the mining industry in the first place?
So, as I said, I grew up in Western Australia. I grew up on a farm, and as a child I used to go and visit my grandfather, who used to work in an underground mine, like a garimpa or galamsey, and it was quite exciting as a child. And then it was a natural progression for me. I was able to go. I was in the country, so I went to the School of Mines in Kalgoorlie, West Australian School of Mines, and that's how I got into the mining industry. From there, I worked as a student, worked on drill rigs, worked in around the goldfields, and I moved on to other jobs once I graduated as a geologist.
That's exciting, but back then, were you looking at coming this far? Did you have this sort of sights?
No, I mean, as a child, you look at going from the farm to the next big city. So, no, it's always been one step at a time for me. And if it makes sense, I go to the next step.
Actually, you're obviously one of the best guys in the system, best geos. You have a lot of mileage. And I've been trying to look, even to single out the best or the most important of your highlights. There are just so many. Would you want to tell us a bit, at least 3?
I've been fortunate, I guess, but it's by choice. What's important is when you graduate, there's a few ways you can go, and my first job was in Telfer Gold Mine in Western Australia, so I was fortunate to work for Newcrest, and I got very good technical founding with Newcrest, which included working in exploration, open pit production, and underground mining, all in the one mine. It's a big mine. We started producing 400,000 ounces a year, so it was a good opportunity to get that basis. And then from that, I went to Romania, went underground in Romania, so I used my skills from there, but I was still a young guy. And then I was with RSG Global for 10 years, and in a consulting position you get to work in a lot of places. You get to see a lot of projects, and the more you see, the more you know. I guess you get other people in the geology field that sit on a drill rig and log geology ships for 10 years. That's a choice you take, but if you can challenge yourself, there's always the opportunity. So I guess that's why I've been privy. I came to West Africa with RSG, and I was at a good time, and I was managing a consulting group, and we had the opportunity to work in bauxite, gold, in all of West Africa, and as the manager of that I had the opportunity to send the people to those projects and follow those projects through. So I've been privy to a lot of projects around the world with that, which comes from consulting. A lot of my friends at the time were getting high-paid jobs as exploration managers or geology managers. In the consulting, you don't get paid the top dollar, but you get paid an experience. So there's a sacrifice you make at an early stage. It's always good to get the good experience if you can.
Yeah, then following from there, actually, you've been in consulting, you've been in contracting, you've been in the mining itself. Has standards changed? Looking at the various hubs you've been to as well, are we anywhere close to getting to the optimum standards in the industry from this part of the world?
Well, I think in West Africa, we as Sahara as a company, we don't have, we only employ West Africans. There's some specific challenges that we need outside help, but our geologists, our surveyors, our engineers, they're all West Africans, and there is no reason for me, from a technical point of view, from say a compliance point of view, to be bringing in anyone else. The expatriates are more work. We've got some very good talent. We've got people that have worked with us from RSG time, so we've had people that are still in Sahara for the last 20 years, and they grew up through Australian standards. And you know, if someone doesn't understand something after a month, then they either need retraining or they're not the right person for the company. So we've had the benefit of time to get some of the best talent in West Africa, I think.
In all this, what's been your strengths? What has been inspiring you?
Inspiration. I guess you get inspiration from everything. You start with your friends, your family, your colleagues. I get inspiration from companies. I get inspiration from going to conferences and seeing new technology. I think with the internet that's come into play, you know, when I was in West Africa 10 years ago, I couldn't, you know, there wasn't smartphones or any of that technology. So now everyone has the world at their fingertips. There's no reason not to be up to date anymore. It's just money, and if you can get money to buy the latest equipment, but a lot of it's now very readily available in West Africa. There's not a lot of technology that's not available here. So there's no excuse, really. It just comes down to application.
And talking about technology here, the industry has seen a lot of technological growth in the past 5 to 10 years. Are we catching up from this side?
I can't see, I see West Africa is at the cutting edge of technology at the moment. There's not a lot of, the only thing that lacks, I guess, in West Africa is training and having access to some of the top consultants around. We as a company, we try to bring people through and try to get them integrated and train our own people. I see WAIMM as a great format for being able to get pass on the skills of our people and people that we work with around the world to West African professionals.
Coming from Sahara, and then the concept you've had over the years, I think you are the best person to tell us about street safety practices and then local content.
Yeah.
Do you see that as a way to go?
Yeah, it has to be. You have to develop your local talent. Yeah. One, because it's there and the people are there. Two, because there's a lot of additional costs that come with bringing expatriates in, and it's not sustainable. People come in, they work for a couple of years and they go. And so you spend a lot of money on people to gain all that knowledge, and then they leave, then the company loses that. So if you've got people that are rooted on the ground, then it's always going to be better for a company. There's no benefit in long-term expatriate support, and if the people are there, they're intelligent and they have the right support, then you're better off investing money in your people. From a safety point of view,
yes.
West Africa has a long way to go. There's a lot of control within the mines, but getting from the office to the mine is often the challenge. I think that's more of a government issue, or that's a developing country issue. But I think the mining is a long way ahead of as far as safety standards than the country, and that's from not just Ghana, but Burkina, or all of West Africa where we operate.
From your experience in the various hubs, I mean, Brazil, South America, Australia, West Africa for that matter, what have you noticed that is lacking in the industry as far as professionalism is concerned? Where are we falling short of in terms of professionalism?
I guess everyone in West Africa is regulated by Australia and Canada as a stock exchange. The obvious thing is, why do you need them? Yeah? You've got all these clever people that have been, Ghana's been mining professionally for 20 years. So why do you need to be going back and getting Australia to regulate your professionals? Why do you need the Canadians to regulate? Why can't it be done here? And it comes back to WAIMM, I guess. And that's why I've always been a strong supporter of WAIMM. I think if we can get recognised, I think the next step for WAIMM is to establish that credibility outside of West Africa, so that the Australian Stock Exchange recognises as a WAIMM member as a competent person, as a qualified person, and the same with Canada.
And given the opportunity, what would you want to see being done differently in the industry?
Done differently. I think there needs to be more transparency still in West Africa. If you want to apply for a permit, for example, in Australia, you can go onto Tengraph. You can go on there, you can see all of the permits, who has it, when it expires, if they've paid their fees, and you can apply for it online. So it's a very transparent process. Whereas a lot of West Africa is still guarding that as a national secret for some reason. I mean, the purpose of the government is to encourage foreign investment and make money from royalties from mining. It's not to make $100 for giving out a permit. That's wrong. So if you get the right systems to manage the permits, who owns what, to make sure if they're not paying, they lose it. I think that's been a big issue in West Africa. It's still a big issue in all of West Africa. It's still good. If you go to Brazil, you can go to Sigmine. You go online and you can see the geology, you can download reports, you can see who has all the permits, you can export it into your software. There's no reason that shouldn't be done here. There's no reason to guard that information. The more information that's available to the investors, the quicker the projects will be discovered. You'll find more gold, you'll produce more gold, you'll pay more royalties, and that's good for everyone.
Viewers, we've been having a close and personal chat with Beau Nicholls, the CEO of Sahara Mining Services. Beau believes industry professionals need to be given more training. They need to also have access to top consultants around the world. The local content has to be developed for sustainability of the industry, and also there should be a bit more transparency in the industry's operation. Beau, you have operations, in fact Sahara Mining has operations all over West Africa.
Yes.
Brazil, Australia, and Dubai.
Yes.
How are you able to manage all this? I mean, with your tight schedules.
You have to have good people in every place. People that you can trust that are competent. You have to have good accounting software and HR software. We use NetSuite, which is an Oracle database. It's online. The only limitation is that it's a big investment. It takes a lot of time, but you've got to have proper systems. You've got to be able to report monthly. Your people have to report. You have to know what everyone's doing. You just have to have good people in the right places. It's, to take a phrase from Cuzzy Bros, it's all about the people.
The industry took ahead, over the past 5 years on this commodity prices. Are we to expect another big storm?
I think that's like, how long's a piece of string? Nobody knows the answer. They all tell you something. What's the gold price going to do over the next 5 years? All the big banks, funds, they'll tell you one thing, and then the next week they'll tell you another thing. Nobody knows, but you can see the sentiment on the ground. We're at the forefront, I guess, of exploration in West Africa, and we've seen a lot more activity over the last year than the prior 3 years, which have been very depressed. So I think the market's turned. I think I don't know what controls it. People say China, the US, India. I think it's a combination of all, and it's so fine and complex that nobody can predict what happens in the future. You just got to go with the trend, and that's what we do. We're very dynamic as a company. We can mobilise to Senegal tomorrow if you need be. We can do a lot of stuff across West Africa because we've invested in the regional bases. I guess I wouldn't call us McDonald's, but we do have a shop front in every country, and we know how to operate in most countries in West Africa. And we have competent people across West Africa. In Brazil, a lot less activity because the Brazilian economy's been struggling, and they've got a lot of political issues. So it's not our focus. I'd say 90% of our focus is West Africa. But with that basis, we can move to other places. But we're more interested in being an African specialist than trying to dominate the world.
Sustainability in the industry. Are we getting our approaches right?
Sustainability is important in our industry. I always remember going to Tarkwa, which is surrounded by billions of dollars of companies and gold being produced and driving down the main street, which was terrible. Yeah? It's the worst street in the world. It was like bombs had gone off all over it, and it's only after those billions of dollars of royalties that street was done. That was fixed, and not very well. So sustainability, I think, is very important in mining companies' perspective. They have to be able to operate because you've got 10-year plus mine life, and what hasn't been embraced well in the past is the change of governments. So one government will go and they'll be very sustainable, they'll support the mining which is developed in West Africa, and then the next one will come in and change the rules, and it's happened in Ghana over the last 10 years. I was here 10 years ago. There was a lot of exploration activities, and then the last 10 years nothing happened. Yeah. And it seems to be changing again. Sustainability is the number one factor around the mining industry.
Your current role, the CEO of Sahara Mining Services, what are you hoping to achieve in the near future?
In the next 3 years, we're looking to find a lot more gold mines for our clients. We're looking to expand our capabilities as a company. We started off as an exploration company, so we used to call it Sahara Geoservices. We've actually expanded our capabilities into mining services, so we're doing UAVs, surveying, engineering. We have the benefit of the RSG people behind us, so we do have very strong consultants and associated consultants that can do anything from mine startup to closure. But I guess one of the big focuses that is an opportunity is EPCM in West Africa, and the traditional companies that have been involved in that have not been West African based. A lot of the support now is coming from South Africa. You've got the Lycopodiums, the DRAs, and that. There's no one ever established EPCM from within West Africa. So that's an opportunity. There's a lot of big infrastructure projects coming up from West Africa. And if you go outside, the money goes outside. So if you can bring some of that capability within West Africa, then that's what we're about.
What's something about you that will surprise everyone else?
Surprise?
I mean, I know your mining dreams will be surprising, as we know.
No.
And Beau doesn't like too much dancing.
No, I don't.
What's really about you that will surprise us?
Dance, I guess, I don't know, I'm fairly transparent. You'd have to tell me, or ask my wife.
You are incredibly popular among the mining peers, especially geos. They know you so much, and then I sometimes wonder how you manage to make sure anyone who meets and interacts with you feels a bit satisfied. How do you do it? How do you keep all these
I don't know if that's true or if they're wrong, but I guess our philosophy is to train the local talent. And the one thing I've noticed in West Africa is if you give people a chance. They grab it with both hands.
Yeah.
And if they don't continue working with us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've given people chances, and our managers now are all Ghanaians or Bekanabis or people that have shown that initiative. And the fact is, there's going to be 400 million people in Nigeria alone in West Africa in the next 20 years. So if you're not going to grab it, then there's always someone else behind you that's ready to have a go. And we just want people that's serious. And when you find those people, they show that with loyalty. And we've had people for 10 years. We've invested in them. Michael Canty, our geoservices manager, he's currently doing an MBA in Murdoch University in Western Australia. With an idea to take that talent. I don't want to be doing this job in 5 years. I want this to be completely sustainable. I'd be happy to help, but there's no point for me being here. So I guess it's succession. We've provided a succession plan. We're not a big mining company, so we don't have the resources and the money behind us. But we've done what we can when we can, and I think people have appreciated that and keep coming back.
And we're still having a close chat with Beau Nicholls, the CEO of Sahara Mining Services. But Beau believes there should be good systems in place every time. He believes in developing people as professionals, and he also thinks professionals should be trustworthy in the industry. And Beau, what is the message you want to give to industry professionals?
Message to industry professionals
and those coming from school as well.
West Africa, from my perspective, has been developed by the mining industry. So a lot of the money that's built the roads, the schools, the governments, the infrastructure has come from the royalties that comes out of the mining industry. It's very similar to Australia. Australia's 200 years old. And why does there so many Australian geologists around the world? It's because it's such an important part of the development of Australia. It's not as crucial as it was 200 years ago, but it's still a very important factor in Australia, and it's very similar in West Africa. Without the mining industry, you will have a lot more problems, a lot more poverty, no development and sustainable development. So geology is a great profession. It opens you up to the whole spectrum of the mining sequence, but they're all interrelated. So if you're in university, then you could probably you do what suits you. Some people are more creatively balanced. Some people are more engineering balanced. So you need to put your head down and study and talk to as many people as you can. Get mentors. WAIMM is a good thing to be a part of because it connects you to the industry. WAIMM has some energy to get across West Africa because you have the language barriers. So it's also good for you if you're starting out to learn French and English.
What's next for you? Are there any new fields you want to explore?
For Sahara?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you personally?
Sahara, we need to establish some of our more regional bases, which would be Guinea. We're looking to do a lot more work in Guinea in the bauxite area. Senegal, Mali are high on our priorities. We also need to establish our capabilities there more. So we tend to support a lot of West Africa from Ghana, from Ghanaian expatriates. Currently our workforce, which is around 200, is 50% Ghanaian, which is not ideal. My personal motivation at the moment is to continue to establish Sahara and grow Sahara as a company that contributes towards the development of West Africa and the people. Also want to improve my golf game, which I've joined the Archimoto Golf Club. Haven't had the opportunity to play golf for 10 years. And there's a beautiful golf course there. It's just got to get there early because it's hot. So over the next 3 years, we look at the next 3 years, we look to grow Sahara and its capabilities and improve my golf game.
Given the opportunity to go back in the days and then pick a new course, are you going to take something different from geology?
For me, I don't think so. You know, with geology, you get to try all the other stuff anyhow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, we're developing apps for security around West Africa and that. So it's you know, the scope of a geologist is limited to his attention span. So you can do whatever you want. Geology gives you good foundation accounts. It gives you good computing skills. It gives you good understanding of the earth, the evolution, religion. What more do you want?
It's been very nice and insightful talking to you as always, and thank you so much.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Mark. Great.